Have you ever felt crushed by rejection? Paralyzed by failure? Wounded by pain so deep it made you question everything? What if I told you that those moments, the ones that broke you, could be the very fuel that makes you unstoppable? We live in a world that idolizes success and hides struggle. But behind every triumph lies a battlefield of bruises, setbacks, and silent nights filled with doubt. The question isn't whether you'll face pain. The question is, what will you do with it? If you're ready to turn pain into power, to rise from every fall, and to stop letting rejection define your worth, then this message is for you. Before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join a community of resilient warriors committed to self-mastery, inner strength, and living life on their terms.
1. Redefining rejection. It's not the end, it's the beginning. Rejection stings because we tie our value to outcomes. When someone says no, we hear, "You're not enough." But rejection isn't a verdict on your worth. It's redirection. It's a course correction towards something better. The discomfort comes not from the rejection itself, but from our interpretation of it. We make it personal. We internalize someone's decision as if it defines us. But here's the truth. Someone else's refusal or disinterest is not an objective judgment on your potential or value. It's just information, feedback, a shift in direction. Rejection closes one road, but opens another if you dare to see past the emotional bruise. The Stoics remind us that our suffering doesn't come from events, but from our judgments of them. Change your perspective, and you change your experience. That no you feared may just be the compass pointing you toward the yes that matters more. Think of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Rejection is the obstacle that reveals a higher path if you choose to see it. There's a hidden invitation in every loss, every denial. Rejection, when reframed, becomes a source of strength rather than shame. It dares you to develop resilience, to become someone who doesn't crumble at closed doors, but knocks louder or builds new ones. Epictetus taught that we must distinguish between what's within our control and what isn't. The opinions and decisions of others fall squarely outside our control, but our reaction, that's our domain. That's our training ground. So when you're told, "You're not right for this job," or "This relationship isn't working," step back. Don't internalize, analyze. Ask, what's the lesson here? What quality is life trying to sharpen in me right now? When a door closes, don't waste time mourning. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What new opportunity might be opening just beyond this pain? Too often we become so fixated on the loss that we fail to notice the gain quietly waiting in its shadow. Life is a sculptor. It chips away everything that doesn't belong. Every rejection might be removing what no longer serves your highest potential. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "How might this be happening for me?" You cannot control rejection, but you can control your narrative. You can decide whether you see it as defeat or as divine detour. This shift in perspective is not naive, it's necessary. It keeps you from sinking into bitterness and instead fuels you with purpose. The world isn't rejecting you, it's refining you. It's calling you to rise with thicker skin and deeper wisdom. Don't fear rejection, use it as fuel. Let it clarify what matters to you. Let it guide you towards something truer, stronger, and more aligned with your nature. The Stoics believed that adversity was the raw material for excellence. Rejection, then, is a sacred invitation to rise, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. The next time life tells you no, hear it as not this path. Trust that something better is being prepared. and walk forward, not with bitterness, but with boldness. Because rejection doesn't end you, it begins you.
2. Building emotional armor. Control the inner war. Life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. And the key to strength is emotional discipline. You don't win by controlling the outside world. You win by mastering your reactions to it. Most people live in reaction mode. They let emotions dictate behavior, often lashing out or shutting down when things don't go as planned. But the Stoic path offers a different way. It teaches that true freedom lies in self-control. The world may be loud and unfair, but your response can be calm and intentional. Emotional armor doesn't mean you're cold or distant. It means you're no longer a slave to every emotional gust of wind. It means you stand still when life tries to push you over. It means you are the eye of the storm, not the storm itself. Emotional armor isn't about shutting down. It's about staying grounded when chaos erupts. The Stoics called this apatheia, not apathy, but inner peace untouched by external storms. This doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything, but are ruled by nothing. It's the kind of serenity that allows you to respond to hardship with clarity instead of panic. When people betray you, when failure strikes, when life throws punches, take a breath, observe, respond with reason, not impulse. That's your power. You can't always predict what life will throw at you, but you can train for it. Think of emotional discipline as mental strength training. Each trial, each disappointment, each confrontation is a weight you lift. You get stronger not by avoiding hardship, but by enduring it with grace. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." So let the criticism come, let the chaos come, but stand firm in your center. You are not your anger. You are not your panic. You are the awareness behind them, and that awareness can choose stillness. Building emotional armor means you become unshakable, not because life stops testing you, but because you stop being owned by it. When your peace is no longer negotiable, when your self-worth isn't tied to approval, when your happiness isn't fragile, you become a force. Emotional armor doesn't make you hard. It makes you wise. It teaches you when to speak and when to stay silent, when to walk away and when to engage. It grants you sovereignty over your own mind. And that sovereignty is everything. In a world that constantly tries to provoke, distract, and disturb, you remain calm, deliberate, free. That is the essence of strength.
3. Turning pain into power, the alchemy of inner strength. Pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It speaks the language of growth, not comfort. And if you listen closely, it reveals who you truly are. Most people run from pain. They numb it, bury it, or distract themselves from it. But what if you walked toward it instead? What if, instead of avoiding the fire, you entered it and allowed it to forge you? The Stoics didn't glamorize suffering, but they didn't fear it either. They understood that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The moment you stop resisting pain is the moment it starts to work for you rather than against you. Pain forces you to confront what's real. It strips away illusions. And in that raw place, you discover your core. Every scar holds a lesson. Every tear, a breakthrough. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." He didn't mean we should chase suffering, but that we should not waste it when it comes. Pain is the pressure that reveals your resilience. It's the silent mentor that teaches endurance, humility, and perspective. Without pain, there is no depth. Without struggle, there is no wisdom. And without challenge, there is no courage. So when hardship visits, don't just survive it, study it. Let it speak. Let it show you what still needs healing, what beliefs no longer serve you, and what strengths have yet to awaken. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this molding me into?" Pain is the fire that forges unbreakable character. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. This isn't spiritual fluff, it's practical truth. Every setback is a test of will. Every heartache is an opening for growth. You don't emerge stronger by chance, you earn it through the crucible of adversity. Think of the strongest people you admire. Chances are they were forged through struggle. They didn't become wise or resilient in comfort. Their wisdom came from wounds, their strength from scars. You are no different. What hurts now may one day become the reason someone else keeps going. Your story of struggle can become someone else's survival guide if you rise, learn, and lead through it. Pain gives your life depth, texture, and meaning. It connects you to others. It builds empathy. When you transmute your suffering into strength, you don't just heal, you become a source of healing. The Stoics believed that life wasn't about escaping hardship, but transforming through it. That's the alchemy of inner strength, turning pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and darkness into direction. Let your suffering shape you, but never define you. Stand up, scarred and stronger, and say, "This didn't break me, it built me." And from that place, go forward, not bitter, but better.
4. Growth through struggle. Evolve or stay stuck. Struggle is not a detour. It is the path. Growth never happens in the comfort zone. It's forged in the moments that test you, stretch you, and shake you to your core. Most people live their lives trying to avoid discomfort, mistaking ease for peace and routine for fulfillment. But there is no transformation without tension. Think of a seed. It must first break apart before it becomes a tree. That breaking is uncomfortable, even violent, but it's necessary. Likewise, your struggles are not random misfortunes. They are the necessary ruptures that precede evolution. The pain you feel today could be the very thing chiseling away your weaknesses, forcing you to discover your resilience. The Stoics understood this deeply. To them, life wasn't about achieving some serene escape from adversity, but about embracing it as a sculptor embraces his tools, each blow carving a better version of the self. When you are tested by heartbreak, failure, illness, betrayal, you're not being punished, you're being forged. You can resist this and break, or surrender to the fire and be shaped. The choice is always yours. Remember, you cannot become who you are meant to be by remaining who you are. You cannot fly if you refuse to crawl. True growth demands the death of comfort. So when you find yourself in darkness, don't despair. That's where roots grow. That's where you're becoming. When you feel like giving up, remember, your future self is watching. Will you choose to evolve or to escape? Every time you face hardship, you stand at a fork in the road. One path leads toward numbness, avoidance, regression, the illusion of safety. The other leads into the fire, uncertain, painful, transformative. Most people choose to escape because it feels immediately relieving. But that relief is a trap. What you avoid today becomes the chain that binds you tomorrow. The work you delay becomes the wound you carry. But the one who chooses to evolve, the one who stays in the discomfort, who leans into the lessons, becomes someone new,
stronger, wiser, more whole. It's not about becoming unbreakable. It's about becoming unshakable. You don't need to conquer every challenge with perfection. You just need to refuse to run from them. In the stillness of suffering lies a quiet witness, your future self. That version of you that is wiser, calmer, and more capable because you endured what most people avoid. That self is built choice by choice, struggle by struggle. So when the weight feels unbearable and your strength is gone, remember, growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like showing up anyway. Sometimes it looks like not quitting when no one's watching. Your future self isn't asking for ease. They're asking you to stay the course. The Stoics believed adversity was essential for virtue. Courage, discipline, perseverance, none of these are born in ease. They're carved out of resistance. You don't learn bravery when everything is going well. You learn it when fear stands in front of you and you act anyway. You don't develop patience when life is smooth. You cultivate it in the chaos when nothing is certain and delays test every nerve. For the Stoics, the goal wasn't to remove hardship, but to harness it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Struggle is not only part of the journey, it is the journey. In today's world where we're conditioned to chase comfort and avoid pain, this idea is more radical than ever. But it's also more necessary, because without adversity, we stagnate. Muscles atrophy without resistance. Character withers without challenge. If you want to be someone of depth, someone of substance, then you must be willing to confront what's difficult, not just what's easy. Virtue is not inherited, it's earned, and the currency is struggle. Let each struggle be a set of weights in the gym of life. You lift, you sweat, you endure, and slowly you transform, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. The metaphor is simple but profound. Just as your muscles need resistance to grow, so too does your soul. The repetition of effort, the discipline to keep going even when you're tired, this is where real change takes place. Struggle is your personal training ground. Each hardship becomes a rep. Each setback, a chance to build emotional muscle. Over time, the very things that once overwhelmed you become light to carry. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And here's the beautiful paradox. You don't even realize you've changed until one day you look back and see how far you've come. What once broke you now builds you. What once scared you now sharpens you. The Stoics knew this too. They welcomed challenge as a craftsman welcomes the raw material. It is through friction that form is shaped. So don't resist the struggle. Train with it. Partner with it. Let it refine your perspective, your grit, your identity. You are not meant to be soft and untested. You are meant to be tempered like steel. And struggle is the fire that forges that strength.
5. Living with resilience, the Stoic way forward. Resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about always rebuilding. It's the quiet force that keeps going, long after motivation fades. In a world that celebrates loud success and visible strength, resilience is often misunderstood. It's not about being unshaken in the storm. It's about returning to your center after the winds have knocked you down. It's about patching yourself up with trembling hands and whispering, "I'm not done yet." This kind of endurance doesn't look glamorous. It's not captured in highlight reels or social media posts. It's the work done in silence, in solitude, in the shadows. True resilience is rooted in purpose, not praise. It's not about being invulnerable. It's about knowing how to heal.
The Stoics didn't teach avoidance of pain, but endurance through it. They saw resilience as the fruit of wisdom, cultivated through self-awareness, self-control, and acceptance of fate. When you build your life around Stoic principles, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding rationally. You stop seeing adversity as a personal attack and start viewing it as a proving ground. Each trial becomes a chance to refine your character, not retreat from your life. A resilient life is built on discipline, not emotion, on principles, not praise, on purpose, not comfort. Emotional reactions come and go, but discipline stays. It shows up when you're tired. It keeps you aligned when others stray. It makes you do what's needed even when no one's watching. Resilience grows from this consistency. You don't need constant excitement or validation to keep going. What you need is internal structure, a code of conduct that guides your decisions regardless of how you feel in the moment. The Stoics called this virtue. Living with integrity, wisdom, courage, and justice. These are the cornerstones of a resilient existence. When you operate from principle rather than impulse, you become less reactive and more proactive. You anticipate difficulty and face it head-on instead of collapsing under its weight. Life is unpredictable, but if your identity is built on something unshakable, like your values, you can weather anything. This is why Stoicism isn't just a philosophy for peace, but for power. It gives you a foundation that stands even when everything else falls. You don't need approval. You don't need a perfect plan. You need resolve. The kind that says, no matter what happens, I will rise. People often delay taking action until everything feels right, until they feel confident, supported, guaranteed. But that day rarely comes. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. And that's why resolve matters more than reassurance. It's the fire that burns beneath the surface, the silent promise you make to yourself that you will not quit, no matter what. It's the discipline to take the next step even when the path isn't clear. The Stoics lived by this resolve. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that freedom isn't about external conditions, but internal mastery. Marcus Aurelius, while leading an empire through plagues and wars, still journaled daily about humility and strength. They didn't wait for easier times. They cultivated power within. And you can too. You don't need to have it all figured out. You need to move forward anyway. That's resilience, not having control over outcomes, but having control over your response. The Stoic path is not easy, but it is powerful. You may bend, but you won't break, because every setback becomes a setup for your next level of strength. When you commit to living with resilience, you begin to reinterpret hardship. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this shaping in me? That shift changes everything. You stop shrinking from failure and start learning from it. You stop fearing change and start adapting to it. Resilience isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's waking up and choosing to try again, even if yesterday broke you. It's showing up to your life with courage, even when it feels meaningless. The Stoic life demands this kind of grit. It doesn't promise you comfort, but it does promise you power. The power to remain unshaken. The power to find calm in the storm. The power to stand tall no matter what you face. So bend, yes, but do not break. Let each crack in your armor remind you you are still here. You are still choosing strength, and that is enough.
You've felt the sting of rejection? You've tasted failure. You've known pain. But you are still here, and that means you're stronger than you think. Let this be your turning point, not the end of your story, but the moment you rewrite it with fire in your spirit and steel in your spine. Start where you are. Use what you have. Become who you were meant to be, not despite the pain, but because of it. Subscribe if this message speaks to your soul. Share it with someone who needs it. And never forget, you are not broken. You're becoming.